Hi, Kate Culver, Song to Gaia. Happy Friday the 13th, Sacred Feminine Day. And I wanted to talk to you on this day as we're winding up this decade, not just the year, but the whole decade. And in a time where things are crazy out there, it doesn't feel like we're moving in a direction of harmony and light and grace. It seems pretty depressing out there. So I wanted to talk about what's emerging, and particularly what's emerging in terms of the sacred feminine. And coincidentally, synchronistically, I ran across this video today by a Dr. Leonard Schlein. And it's not a new video. It's probably a decade old almost. But in it, he talks about the sacred feminine and how cultures across the world all began with honoring a goddess, the earth mother. And then throughout time, across the planet, cultures put this down, and how it coincided with the emergence of literacy. Now, he's not saying that literacy is the direct reason that we had subjugation of women, but you look historically and across the planet, and you can see how when literacy rose, subjugation of women also rose. There were less rights for women in those times when there was more literacy. And he talks about this. I mean, check out the video. It's really fascinating. I can't get into all the details, but he talks about how writing is a very linear, sequential, kind of a analytical way of doing things, which is a very masculine energy. And that when we read, we use the cones of our eyes, not the rods. It's very focused. That's a very masculine kind of energy. And so that culturally, as the literacy rose, this masculine point of view, perspective, energy permeated the culture. And it had its rippling effects on the other parts of culture. So it's pretty fascinating. And then he's bringing it around to saying, okay, so now in the 50s, we started getting television. And now we've got visuals and words coming together. We have both hemispheres of the brain communicating at the same time. A whole picture is drawn. And now this is something that is both feminine and masculine in its holding of the space and of the energy. And so while the content may not be quite as profound as some of the writings that we have in our literature are, it's that balancing of the information and how we receive it that empowered women to start stepping up. And again, I'm not saying it's because of television that women got excited about another wave of feminism. I'm just saying that because culturally there was a more balanced view of energy, of the communication waves, that perhaps this played a part in the rising of that feminist movement. And it continues to grow. We've still got a long way to go. We're just barely in the beginning of the Aquarian age. So there's still a long way to go, but it's that pendulum. We live in a universal law of cycles, and we live in a universal law of balance, of polarity and balance. These things go hand in hand. That's what kind of keeps us, moving, right? It's that yin and yang. So be aware of that in your communication styles, in when you start to long for the days when we used to read books more. Yeah, you know, what we would really love to do is yearn for the day that the presentation we give with visual and words is as profound as anything that might have been written years ago by Socrates, who didn't write things down, or Confucius, who didn't write things down, or the Buddha, who didn't write things down, or Jesus, who didn't write things down, right? Thinking about that balance and what that means for women and the emergence of the feminine back into a place of balance and equanimity and holding our own power. True power that comes from that feminine essence that gets squashed when there's too much masculine energy around. So happy Friday the 13th. Happy Sacred Feminine Day. Honor all of the women in your life as often as you can. And I'll see you on December 22nd. If you care to join us, we'll be back here doing a little day after the solstice celebration. More emergence of the feminine. Blessings. Namaste.